Alrighty, welcome back. We are going to get our fill background color adjuster in our WPF application. Now sadly, WPF does not have a color picker like UWP in the Windows App SDK. I really advise anyone playing with WPF to look at the Windows App SDK because it is more like WPF than it is UWP right now, and it's really nice. It's a desktop. It's for the desktop. It's XAML. There will be a UWP version of it for the Windows Store, but it is just really excellent. So, since we do not have a color picker, we're going to have to create a color picker. Right now, let's just separate. I'm just separating the code up, adding a tab control into our segments control. And then that way, the first tab will be properties, which will give us the fill color, the stroke color, the name, and the thickness of the line. And the second tab will be our parts, our actual path parts. In any kind of vector application, the segment or the shape, I guess it should have been shape, but I figured that the term shape was already used by too many other namespaces, so I went with segment. And the fill and the line size will be shared by the whole shape. So our stack panel here, I'm just making the background of it as a preview. Just 96 by 96. Now the slider for the alpha, we're doing a slider for the alpha, the red, the green, the blue. We will put it on a 0 to 1 basis. So the small change will be 0.01, the large change will be 0.1. And that means in our WPF application, we will have to have a different property for each different component of the color. The slider works best with doubles, floats, and colors, of course, are in bytes or integers. So we'll do some conversion in the background. We'll actually create our properties as doubles. And for our sliders, we wanted to give a preview of what the color will look like at each point, that if you drag the slider to that point, what it will look like without dragging it there. That's pretty much standard. And therefore we're using a linear gradient from the offset of 0 to the offset of 1. And that color the linear gradient will be updated constantly, or each time we move any of the properties around, so we get a good preview. Our actual fields will be bytes, but our properties will be doubles. So we're going to do our first conversion here. And since our byte field needs to be between 0 and 1 for our slider, we're actually returning the percentage is of 255. I've done it before. I've done this kind of control before in WPF where you actually have a range of 0 to 255. It doesn't work out as well for some reason. So I've just gotten into a habit of doing it this way. So just some find and replace, copy and paste. our red, our green, and our blue, all from our alpha. Now we need to create our color, or our brush first. And we're going to create that from our values up above. There will not be a set on this. Instead, whenever one of our colors is changed, it's actually going to call an on-property change for the fill brush. So we have some of that dynamic MVVM. What makes MVVM so sweet, so helpful, it's going to go get our other values. In this case, it's going to go get our from red, our to red, our fill brush. In the next tutorial, we're going to just copy and paste and do our stroke brush. I'm going to speed the video up right here because it's just copy and replace. So the property, the value we're actually setting, we set the from red, for instance, we set the red value to 0, and the to red we set to 255. And the same for the from green to green and from blue to blue. We're not going to do a preview for the alpha. Now we need to set all of our properties. We need to call all of our changes. I'll tell the front end that all of these properties need to be checked now. Because when we change our red, the preview for the blue and the preview for the green is also going to change. And the same for the red and the blue and the green. So we're going to tell it to update everything. And we're also going to tell it, of course, to update the brush. It's very repetitive code, but who cares? If you worked back with WinForms, you know this is much more robust. That's the word that people like to use, robust. It's much more robust. It's much more quicker to code. Just copy and paste that to all of our fill values, that same on property change, because that's the only thing that has a set. All right, let's see what I forgot. I forgot something. I set those sliders to have a very small size. Let's go ahead and wrap our sliders into a separate stack panel so they're easier to locate. And if you notice, the max height on the slider is 1. Preview is fine. And it's not supposed to be max height, it's supposed to be maximum. IntelliSense is really beginning to annoy me. You get used to it when it's good, and when you come back and it's bad after an update, you're just not used to it. All right, we're missing an update somewhere. We see our sliders now. Let's see, select it. I'll find it. There it is. And that was totally on me. That was IntelliSense that time. I think still might need a restart. if you notice, the colors of the background colors of each slider is changing. So it shows how they affect each one. I don't know if I like the alpha, having the alpha in that equation, but I'm leaving it. My old brain says, yeah, that's annoying. But if you got something out of this, like and subscribe. All glory be to God. Another tutorial coming very quickly. See you in the next video.